It is absolutely incredible how Star Wars Battlefront 2 is still thriving to this day. 8 years later, it released in 2017 at the pinnacle height of Disney Star Wars because the new trilogy of films was going to release and everyone was in that Star Wars frenzy. And there are thousands of people still playing the game on PlayStation, Xbox and PC, and it is really such a shame that we never got to see crossplay for Star Wars Battlefront 2 because it was just before crossplay became a massive thing. And it's really such a shame that EA did not continue with Battlefront 2 support and in 2020 basically abandoned the game. But the thing is, the game is still thriving, and that says a lot. Now, with May the 4th shortly behind us, there was tons of Star Wars game sales, and that includes Star Wars Battlefront 2. And this meant that on tons of platforms, people were able to gain access to Battlefront 2 for dirt cheap, which is fantastic, and is probably why we've been seeing an uptick in player counts. But you know, it's not just about the sales. We can't forget that Star Wars Revenge of the Sith re-released in cinemas and broke so many records, earning $42 million in just 1 week. And even with Andor, the community has become so energized with Star Wars, and so Star Wars Battlefront 2 has kind of become the go-to experience. Even before the re-release of Revenge of the Sith, Battlefront 2 lobbies were still generally quite full, and you could hop into a game relatively easy. But let me tell you, it's even faster, and because there has been this increase in player count, all different modes are now much more easier to access, like Starfighter Assault, which most people don't really engage with, but now has seen full lobbies. This is the thing that really gets me about it, is that there's no new DLC, there's no new marketing, there's no new community engagement from EA. It's purely down to the fact that people want to play Star Wars, they want that Star Wars multiplayer experience, and because there's nothing out there except Star Wars Hunters, because that game's getting abandoned really soon, Star Wars Battlefront 2 becomes the default, because there hasn't been a massive multiplayer Star Wars game since Battlefront 2. And it's just like fans are just rediscovering the magic of Battlefront 2 and how amazing it actually is. And because people are so starving for a multiplayer Star Wars game, Battlefront 2 is just the experience that most people lend themselves to, and I get it, it's got flaws, it's old, it still does look fantastic, and it also doesn't have crossplay, which is such a shame. If only it had released like a year later, EA might have introduced some crossplay, and then we could play all across gaming consoles. And at the end of the day, lobbies are still full, so crossplay isn't necessarily a major thing that would keep the game going, but it would have been a really nice feature to have. And Battlefront 2 is just so cinematic, it is epic, there are some crazy moments to be had in Battlefront 2, and there is literally no other Star Wars multiplayer game that you can think of that could do that apart from EA's first Battlefront, but there has been nothing in comparison since then. I mean, you've got EA who make the Battlefield games, so they're relatively similar, but nothing in the land of Star Wars. I guess you could argue that the Battlefront 2 re-release, the 2005 remaster, would have brought people back, but unfortunately that was such a turbulent launch and it didn't really fulfill fans' expectations, so Battlefront 2 from 2017 is the way people want to go. To be honest, it really is such a shame with the Battlefront 2 remaster that it didn't live on as much as people thought it would, and most people bought it on launch, like me, hoping for that nostalgia trip and then being able to play all these maps that Battlefront 2017 doesn't have. And the lobbies are absolutely empty on the Battlefront 2 remaster, and it's just a testament to Battlefront 2 from 2017, showing that people do want a polished and incredible Star Wars experience in regards to multiplayer. And I know that Battlefront 2 Remastered, its lobbies are absolutely empty, no one is playing Battlefront 2 Remastered. I tried to hop in the other day actually, and there was only about 3 or 4 people on the game, and so it's really unfortunate that that happened to the Battlefront 2 Remaster, but it just shows that Battlefront 2 from 2017, EA's Battlefront 2, is still a tremendous game because the lobbies are still filled to the brim with players. And this resurgence isn't just nostalgia, it proves that there is a demand for Star Wars multiplayer games. And whether that's something on the massive scale of Battlefront 2 like a Battlefront 3, which is never going to happen, or even something smaller like a team shooter. And with today's technological advancements, there is no limit to what a Battlefront 3 could be. There would be seamless ground to space travel, or even new content drops, something akin to Fortnite where they bring out a new season every month or two. But most of all, I see people saying that they'd love a Star Wars game exactly like Helldivers 2 on that massive scale, and there have been so many mods for that. It's just a shame because there is really so much potential for the Star Wars IP, but Disney really aren't utilising it in the best way. Yes, we've had Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order and Star Wars Squadrons and then Battlefront 2 and then we've got Outlaws and everything like that. There are some games out there, but nothing on the scale of what Battlefront 2 offers. Flying ships, killing droids, capturing a command post, everything about Battlefront 2 is just pure fun. And because the way that the game's laid out, there is literally chaos around every corner and every hill, and you don't know what to expect. You know, you might see Darth Vader just rocking up on the hills of Hoth and just lightsaber throwing everyone. But it's these chaotic moments that make the game feel fun and immersive and cinematic and really what people want from a Star Wars Battlefront game. Because it makes you feel like you're in the films, and not to mention that the graphics definitely lend to that and still hold up to this day. Honestly, there are not a lot of games from 2017 that still hold up as well as Battlefront 2 does, and that's really a testament to EA. Not to mention the absolutely massive modding scene. There are so many different character mods and class mods and map mods that are available for you on PC to download. And yes, these aren't official creations from EA, and so there is going to be a little bit of jank here and there, but the possibilities that opens up in regards to gameplay and replayability is absolutely endless. A lot of people were kind of upset by the end of Battlefront 2 because we didn't get to see the full roster of characters that we really wanted to, and we know that there were leaks for characters like Ahsoka and Padme and Ventress and other characters like that. And so these mods allow you to be able to explore those possibilities. You know, yes, they might have the same moveset as someone else, but you're still getting to play as those characters. But even if you can't play Battlefront 2 modded, there are still so many avenues for gameplay. There are so many different characters, so many different modes, so many different classes for you to choose from, and not to mention so many different crazy scenarios that is absolutely mind-blowing what you can get up to. And looking at Battlefront 2 from the perspective of being the only multiplayer Star Wars game out there at the moment, it does kind of lend into the Battlefront 3 aspect of things, and I know people really do want Battlefront 3, but unfortunately I don't think it's ever going to happen. At this point it's going to be another reboot from another studio, and they're going to get up to number 2 and then not release 3. It's just a shame that Battlefront 3 was never made by EA. I think the possibilities for that were absolutely through the roof, and unfortunately they just didn't stick the landing. And I get it, right, EA went off with Respawn to make Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order, and now Ubisoft have done Outlaws. Star Wars games are really in a crisis with the amount that are available, but the ones out at the moment are definitely there to fulfill the fantasy of a Star Wars game. And for me personally, you know, I hop into Battlefront every couple of months, play for like a solid couple of weeks, and then step back from it, and then every time I hop back in, I still have tremendous amounts of fun. And I think that's kind of the beauty of Battlefront 2. As sad as it's going to sound, it's always there. It's always able to, you know, fulfill that fantasy, that power fantasy of being in the Star Wars world. And as sad as it is, Battlefront 2 is always going to be there. Well, you know, until EA decide to eventually shut off the servers. But as of right now, Star Wars Battlefront 2, fantastic game, fantastic experience, good story, and to be honest, it's more than you could ever ask for at the moment in regards to Star Wars multiplayer games. So definitely pick it up, give it a go, you're going to have an absolute blast.